The idea of Zokomon started out in seed with the thought that what if a person were to convert his greatest weakness into his greatest strength? Simple idea. It can happen to anyone. It can happen to a child. It can happen to an adult. Anyone who finds himself in a lot of difficulty, how do things pan out in that situation? Then we put this into a child who's completely helpless, who's an orphan, who's being taken advantage of by an uncle. And we started working out what are the possibilities that happen when you recognize that you're as strong as you believe you are. And that's how imagination then flowed through and took us to the idea of the different qualities that Zokomon possesses. You'll see in the film. Some you would have definitely seen in the promos. You'll see Zokomon swooping through the air. He flies. He's got extraordinary powers. He's damn cool. He's got a great costume. He's got all kinds of weapons with him. And he's got amazing control and command over them. So Zokomon is a fully powered superhero. The real challenge for us when we were writing the film was how do we write a film in which there's a superhero, but that superhero should not be an imitator. Like as an audience, I'm not interested in seeing a poor man's Superman, a poor man's Batman. I want to see something which is as rich but which is original. So we needed an Indian superhero, and an Indian superhero could only come about if he was coming up in response to an Indian situation, an Indian problem. And which is why this film creates its own world, a world which is very Indian. And I'm just like we are world champions at cricket, I'd like to say that, we don't need to be imitators of anyone. And Zokomon also is not an imitator to anyone. Zokomon is an Indian hero in response to the superhero genre in India. We've only had Krish, which I think was one of the first superhero films we've had. RA1 is yet to come, so I'm very happy that we are coming before. Collaboration with Disney was actually quite, it was beautifully simple. I didn't write the film for Disney or with any producer in mind for that matter. I wrote the film, and at the time when the script was ready, I learned that Disney was producing films. I stumbled upon somebody who worked in Disney. I didn't know him. I just stumbled upon him. And he called me to his office and he said, read the film. I read the film, he loved the script, and it was on.
It was my dream also. After I did Tare Zameen Par, my hopes were even like, now though I should get one superhero film, yaar. And then my parents went for the narration, they heard the film and they liked it. So then they told me and I was just jumping around and I was like so happy because being the first child superhero on earth is like something any child would like. So then when I heard the film, I loved it. In fact, I said, "Itna maza aa raha hai sunne mein to yaar, I'm orphaned." So what happens is that there's this cruel uncle there, my cruel uncle. He's one bad guy, so he abandons me. He just leaves me alone to take my money and all that. So what he does is that he leaves me alone. So then, how I overcome my extraordinary difficulties, this film revolves around how I transform into Zokomon, and how you'll see awesomeness.
कोई सुपर हीरो का एक्शन नहीं है क्या?
वो तो इसी को पता है ये
Peace.
Peace.
What peace? Yeah, Rory.
no we're not doing it. We don't have to listen to it. It's very exciting to be part of the first child superhero film, Zokomon. I'm very proud to be part of this film. I'm very proud that Walt Disney is associated with. You've grown up with watching Walt Disney movies, Walt Disney cartoons, Walt Disney animation films. So when the first logo of Walt Disney comes, I feel very happy that I'm part of this film. And Zokomon being the first child hero film from India, child hero presented by India. We have Spider-Man, we have Phantom, we have Batman, we have Superman. And they are all a concept of the West. But this is an urban Indian boy who becomes a superhero, which is there. And apart from that, I have personal two triumphs in it. I'm the only actor, even if I'm saying it myself, who has done two completely contrasting roles and who are not brothers in this film as one actor. One is this character called Deshraj, and one is the other character called Magic. When Satyajit along with his producers had come to meet me and he narrated me Deshraj's role, and I read the script. Next morning I was curious to know who is doing Magic's role. So they said we are trying to look for an actor, and we have spoken to a few actors. So I shocked them by saying that I want to do both the characters. So they thought I was being a megalomaniac as an actor, and I was talking rubbish. So then I explained to him, I had a long sitting with him, I explained to them that this is how it can be done, we can get a prosthetics guy. So I think that my enthusiasm was infectious, so it got translated into a scientist in the so-called fictitious city. And he turns him, there is a process how he turns him into a superhero. So it's like the return of Superman, how they showed how Superman was made.
Sort of powers and superheroes. So what?
I think the USP of the film is Darshil Safari. It's his first major film after, and that also as a Superboy, and Disney, and Satya's passion behind the film. And it is a very entertaining film, and I think people will love it. People love films where good wins over, triumphs over evil. So superheroes films are supposed to do that. Audience knows that this, in the end, superhero will win.
The film, who is she is an orphan. She's a painter. She is a kind of a girl who does not want to be tied down to a house. She thinks the whole world is her own because she has no one of her own, you know. तो सबको अपना मानती है and सबसे बहुत प्यार करती है. She makes a small place for herself in like maybe in a warehouse or a mall or some place. She makes a small place and she makes that a home, you know. So she's that kind of a character, and she's always like, you know, because of trespassing, she's always been put behind bars. So like, you know, she's that. The toughest and the funnest part was there's in the song Ina Meena Maina Mo, in which I have like 16 different changes, 16 different looks, and totally different from each other. So I mean, like one looks very different from the other. So in that I played Akbar, mustache and everything, all Akbar and all that stuff. Very funny sequence, and I just like go running up, and I have to slide down from the stair railing, you know. So I have to just sit on that like that, and like free hands, it was just real, like, you know, slide down. That was tough. That was really tough. I fell a few times, but I managed finally.